In order to show measurements of temperature and salinity, we use a temperature salinity. It's called TS diagram, okay, which is shown here. On the x-axis is salinity, and you can see it varies here from fresh water to ocean water to seawater, from 0 to 35. In some regions even have higher salinities. That's why it ranges to 40 here. On the y-axis is temperature. Okay, temperature from below 0 to 30 degrees. So if you now have a measurement, which is shown here by this yellow star, okay, it corresponds to a temperature, which is just on the you have to cut horizontally and have a look at the temperature axis, and the salinity. You have to cut vertically here to get to the salinity values. So you can represent measurements, not only one, you can indeed show an entire vertical profile in these diagrams. So there's a little bit more to it, okay? Because here in this diagram, it also shows you the lines of density, sigma T. Okay, so you can see a 0 line, this is a contour. All along this line, the density is 1,000 kilograms per cubic meter, all right? And then the other lines, you can see a 5 here. This is where the density is 1,005 kilograms per cubic meter. And you can see the density increases as you move over here to the right. So for the oceans, it's important to learn that the density increases if you reduce the temperature, you make the water colder, then it becomes heavier. Or you can increase the salinity, it makes it heavier. Okay, increase in salinity makes it heavier. And in order to learn or to understand that, you can just choose any location here in this diagram and then move and see whether you cross these so-called isopycnals. These are the density contours. All right. 90% of the ocean is located within this rectangle here, so it's a relatively small range of salinities that you find in the open ocean. Okay, and it's also relatively cold on average because the deeper waters in the ocean are relatively cold. In coastal oceans, it can be much different. So you pretty much can, if you look at different regions on Earth, you can have the entire range of temperatures and salinities as shown here. So now there are two more lines shown here. One line is the freezing temperature. So that's the temperature below which ice can turn, water can turn into ice. Okay, without salinity, fresh water, it's 0 degrees, but the addition of salts in seawater lowers this temperature, so it drops. It is in polar regions, it's around -2 degrees Celsius, and that's below that temperature that starts the creation of ice crystals. All right, the other line that you see, it's this red line, tells you that this is the maximum of the density. Okay, so in freshwater system, the density is maximum is at 4 degrees. We talked about that before. You can see here the 4 degrees. But in ocean marine systems, it is irrelevant. You always reach the freezing temperature before you reach actually this maximum. So it's irrelevant in marine systems. Okay, so quite a bit that you learn with this slide